Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Meaningful Motivations with Tracy Erickson. And of course, if you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Tracy Erickson, and in this video, I'm going to talk about the spiritual meaning of seeing a squirrel, because sometimes an encounter with an animal could actually be a message from spirit. So stay tuned. I have some kind of encounter with a squirrel each and every day because in my backyard, there are 3 mature oak trees which produce acorns, and acorns happen to be a squirrel's favorite meal. So the squirrels actually live in my backyard. Because I live with squirrels each and every day, I don't see every encounter with this animal as a message from spirit. That's the thing about getting spiritual messages from the world around you. It's actually a way to tap into your own intuition, because you only really know if it's a message based on how you feel during that encounter with the particular animal or insect or object or person or place. So basically, the more that you connect with your own inner knowingness, the more that you will know when certain things in your life might actually be a message from spirit helping you and guiding you through everyday life. In my particular experience, the squirrel gave me a message earlier this month because on November 3rd, I wrote about the squirrel in my journal. And it's because I encountered 3 different squirrels that actually really stood out to me, all within the same day. The first squirrel was a squirrel that was talking to me, so I took a video of it as it was chattering away. My second strange encounter of the squirrel on that very same day, later that afternoon, I had noticed that the squirrels were acting more bold and daring around my dog, Nilla Bean. In my journal, I even wrote, "The squirrels have been more daring when Nilla Bean chases them through the yard." And so that stood out to me as well. The third squirrel encounter that day happened later that evening when my husband actually told me the story of Peanut the squirrel, who is this Instagram famous squirrel, I think. Anyway, the squirrel was taken away from its home that it had lived in for like 7 years with the family. And they euthanized the poor thing to find out if it had rabies or not. And the family, of course, was devastated. And my husband showed me a video where the wife was just crying while they were discussing the situation. When my husband told me about Peanut the squirrel, that is when I realized this is definitely a message from spirit. And God was speaking to me through the symbol of the squirrel. The reason I felt that way is because things like that happen in 3s. So whenever I see something significant in a certain symbol happen 3 times, especially in the same day or within a short span of time, that is when I realize it's definitely a spirit message. And not only that, but I hadn't even told my husband about my previous squirrel encounters from that day. So it was just strange, and it was one of those synchronicities that I just simply couldn't ignore. I started by just pondering what the squirrel initially brings to mind, right? So my first thought was that the squirrels are always digging for their nuts. And my husband always laughs and tells me that the squirrels always lose their nuts and they can't find them. So my first thought was like, is this about being mindful and, not forgetting what I'm doing or where I'm putting things? Maybe it's just basically a message to be more mindful and making myself therefore less forgetful. And of course, I decided to learn more. So I just looked up all of the habits of squirrels. And I learned that squirrels are omnivores. They eat a variety of foods that include nuts, seeds, berries, tree buds, insects, bird eggs, and amphibians. And they store nuts and seed in the fall to eat during the winter. Squirrels use urine to mark their territory, to signal reproductive status, and to communicate with other squirrels. And they also communicate by flicking their tails or making loud warning calls. Squirrels spend days foraging for food, and they use a strategy called chunking, where they bury the same type of food in the same place to try to help them remember where it is. And squirrels are agile in trees and can run along branches, leap from tree to tree, and scramble up and down tree trunks. They can also land safely from heights of about 30 feet. While looking up the habits of squirrels, I learned that squirrels play a very important role in planting trees. In one website, it says, squirrels often forget where they bury their seeds and nuts. In fact, one study found that squirrels leave behind up to 74% of the acorns they bury. Though we might initially perceive this as absent-minded wastefulness, squirrels inadvertently plant many trees. Acorns sprout best when out from under the shade of their parent tree. And squirrels know that there is a better chance of another animal finding their acorn if they stash them right under the tree. So they are more prone to bury acorns in the open areas. The squirrels in my backyard stare at me all the time. And they also do this little chattering thing and they flick their tails sometimes. And so during my research into the habits of squirrels, I learned this. If a squirrel is directing his attention toward you, he is likely assessing whether you are a threat. Squirrels often freeze, observe, and then either go about their business, assured that you aren't going to attack, or flick their tail to warn the other squirrels of danger and take off on an erratic path to confuse any pursuers. I was like, oh, that's so sad. I'm just over here like, I want to give you a hug. And the squirrel's like thinking that it needs to attack. I found out that squirrels even have their own holiday. January 21st is National Squirrel Appreciation Day in the United States. So, evidently, on January 21st, you can take time on that day to appreciate squirrels, to be thankful for what they give to the world. And after finding out that they plant so many trees, why not thank a squirrel? Once I looked at the habits of the squirrel, then I started to kind of ponder what that might mean to me as a message from spirit for my own soul growth and spiritual development. So as I pondered that, I thought to myself that this could definitely be a message about, bringing forth more mindfulness in my day-to-day life and in my actions. Basically having more focus, more concentrated focus on what exactly it is that I'm doing when I'm doing it. Now, this could also be a message about seeds that I've planted in the past that can eventually bear fruit for me in the future because of squirrels having the habit of planting trees. Not any tree, but also trees that bear fruit in the form of acorns. So it could be a message about, some of the things that I have worked on previously finally sprouting and coming to life. And in my journal, I also wrote that the squirrels always get away from my dogs by climbing up the tree with great speed. So it's also possible the squirrel reminds you of the importance of staying above drama, staying above the danger, and knowing when it's time to run from certain situations. This could be a message not to worry, but to trust myself. Because I feel like squirrels are so confident jumping from tree to tree and being playful and bold in the face of predators because they actually trust themselves and their own natural instincts to get them out of any situation that might actually become a danger to them. And according to the notes I took in my journal on November 3rd, I wrote that the message from the squirrel could be to ready myself for the future, the way squirrels do when they bury nuts that they can later eat in the winter. And it could be about purging and letting go of things that are no longer serving me as well. Because this could be a message about gathering. It could be a message asking you to take a look at what it is that you have gathered, not only in the physical, but what beliefs have you gathered? What thoughts and attitudes and habits have you gathered that you can either keep or let go of? So the message from the squirrel could be to take almost an inventory of your life, to recognize areas where you are well prepared, and then other areas where you may be more like hoarding energy and may need to let things go so that the energy can flow more freely. So basically, when it comes to the message from the squirrel, or any animal really, you simply look at the habits of that animal and you ponder how that could be a message from spirit. And then you can realize where that message resonates in your own life and in your experiences and situations. Now, beyond my personal message from the squirrel, I also saw that there was almost a bigger message as well coming through there. I can just feel it because in the third instance of the squirrel encounters that day, it happened to be about a squirrel who went viral, right? So this squirrel went viral. So to me, it was almost like there was also a message about society hidden in this squirrel message as well. So I decided to kind of think a little further on this whole Peanut the squirrel situation. And I thought on the fact that the only reason he became mega viral is because he was euthanized by the authorities who took him out of his loving home. And the reason they euthanized this poor little squirrel is because they wanted to find out if he had rabies. So of course, I decided to ponder on the spiritual meaning of rabies regarding this larger message. And I learned that ancient people were terror-stricken by the sight of an animal with rabies and thought that they were demon-possessed. Writers of the day attributed rabies to an invasion of the body by an evil spirit. I don't know, with Peanut the viral squirrel, I just felt like there was a bigger, more far-reaching spiritual message there somewhere as well. Maybe the world is revealing where the evil exists, Maybe the world is revealing the demons that are possessing people in this day and age. Who knows? What do you guys think the bigger message might be in Peanut the squirrel? Let me know in the comments down below what your theories are regarding the larger spiritual message there. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. So if you like this video, don't forget to click that like button and share this video with all your squirrel-loving friends out there. And of course, if you're a viewer but not yet a subscriber, I would love for you to click subscribe down below. And once you have subscribed, You can turn on the notifications bell if you would like to be notified each and every time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your time with me. I love you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.